Good evening to all. This is Pastor and Prophetess Tawana James. I certainly pray that you are doing well. Traveling at the moment, and I've been trying to get this done for a little while, and I felt the prompting to stop and do it now as I'm once again heading somewhere else. Listen, I was in the store today, and God brought back to my mind something that he said to me yesterday. And you know that once God says something twice, especially the same thing, that thing is established. Once it's established, it can be activated, performed, and manifested. The one main thing that he said to me, and he wanted me to share it with as many people as possible. Have you ever been the person that you know that meetings are being held about you? Have you ever experienced being the person that other people, it can be family, it can be friends, it can be co-workers, it could be church members, it can be people that you've known from the past, that you've gone to school with, had some type of interaction or exchange with, and they have this meeting. You wind up being oftentimes the center and the focus and the reason of the conversation. And you know, when you're prophetic, what people don't understand, prophetic people don't let on to what they actually know most times. We walk into rooms, we walk into spaces, we walk into meetings, we walk into sanctuaries, and we can feel and discern the conversations. And sometimes God will even roll back the script and let us hear it. Sometimes we realize when it's going on, and he will tell you such and such people are speaking your name and they're talking about you, they're discussing you. And then when you wind up being present, everybody gets quiet because they're watching to see if their theories are going to be proven true. You got to understand that God will put you in a position to be watched and observed. And oftentimes it's not that God is trying to get them to see anything about you, but he's trying to tell them something through you by observing. And he said, now the table is about to turn. The conversation is about to turn. Now people are going to have conversations. They're going to have meetings. They're going to bounce things off of each other regarding you. And instead of them saying what you think about that, or how you feel about that, or what you know, did you see that? Did you hear that? I wonder what's going on. Because they take more time framing a story rather than getting intel, but they already know that they really don't have God's permission to come to you and ask you about it, because they don't realize that God has you in a very specific, time-sensitive process. And what many of us know, that we are in the time of harvest. We are in the time where we're going to see what we saw, what we said, and what we sowed. And this conversation is going to change now. You're still going to be the center of the conversation, you know, because when you show up, they say, oh, hey, You know, prophetic people are very peculiar people, and they're very aware. But because their conversation is mostly with God, and sometimes people don't understand that you're being processed to be qualified for something in the future. Your present may not look so great, but even Joseph, his present didn't look great until he met up with the appointed time that God was processing him for. And then the language had to change. The conversation had to change. And for those of you that have held on, held out, kept telling God yes, even when everybody else thought that you did better off saying no. Even Job's wife said, boy, you ought to curse God and die, because there's just no way that you're being afflicted and suffering. Even the Bible says that after you have suffered a while, then he will perfect you and he will establish you. And we are in that time now. And many that have talked rather than enduring their process, they'll understand that the suffering was actually sacred and holy, and that while they were observing, they should have been going through that process. But now they're going to say, you see what the Lord doing? You see what the Lord did? Now they're going to say, I didn't know that was what I was doing, but God is going to favor you immensely, unmeasurably, for holding out and holding on to your yes. So I wanted to encourage you in that because it takes a lot to tell God yes and not explain the details, because God will put a seal on your mouth so that you don't say something out of turn, out of time, or out of season. So be encouraged. Your no's are turning into yeses, and your suffering. The Bible even says that they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. What is that strength? It's actually your faith, your confidence in Him, your confidence in your ability to trust Him, try Him, and just see Him make it well, bring you to that Romans 8:28 finish. So I had to share that with you because we are all at a turning point. You're going to see what you said. You're going to see what you sowed, and it will be your harvest. All right. So be blessed, be encouraged, and we'll see you next time. Pray for me. I'm praying for you. Bye. I'm trying to finish it. God, we thank you.